As you know, Jameson's a 10-year-old boy who had been attacked by a shark on the reef down in the Keys. The moment the trauma surgery service called me, I immediately got in the car and came over, knowing that this was a very severe injury, with our goal of reconstructing, of salvaging his limb. It became pretty clear pretty quickly that this was a devastating injury. The lower leg has 2 bones, and the shark had basically stripped the bigger bone clean of almost all tissues, essentially all tissues. The smaller bone had been chewed and had just some of the muscle, just very little bit of muscle attached to it. And he was basically missing all of the muscles and the nerves and the vessels responsible for keeping his foot alive.
It was one of the most impressive things that I've seen in my career so far, was the severity of this bite. When I first met him, he was shocked, which is normal from the type of injury. But as soon as we put him in the back of the rescue, he started talking to me like if he knew that he was going to be fine.
Jameson, as I was holding him right in my arms, he looked in my eyes, in shock, white. He'd already lost a lot of blood. And he looked in my eyes and he said, "Daddy, Jesus is going to save me." And I'll never forget those words as long as I live, because moments later I would pass him across our boat to another boat, not knowing if I'd ever see him again.
I went to go start an IV on his arm, on his right arm, and I had to lean over him to start the IV, and my chain popped out, and I have a cross on my chain, and he looked at it and just stared at me right in the eyes, and he's like, "Are you Christian?" And I'm like, how is this child in this time that he is possibly going to lose a leg talking to me about God and Christian? I'm like, I'm not Christian, I'm Catholic, but if you need me to be Christian at this moment, I'm Christian with you. And then I realized why he said it was because my cross, came out of my shirt, and I was like, since that second, I knew that he was a special, special person, and his calling in this world is bigger than he thinks right now. He's gonna touch many lives, and he's touched my life for the 15 minutes I met him. And that's somebody that I'm never gonna forget. He's always gonna be in my thoughts, in my prayers. He's the most impacted patient I've had in my career so far.
I'm going to go back in the water, and I'm going to go in the same place where I got bitten, done. I want to. I don't want to think as Luke, he has my worst nightmare or this hospital, so I want to go back there, and when I go back there, I feel like everything's going to be better and I won't have any worst nightmares except for this. I'm going to be fine. In like 2 months, I'm going to get a prosthetic leg, a cool one. And when I play basketball, the guy who is going to give me a prosthetic leg, he said that I'll be able to jump higher with one of my legs because it'll have a spring to it, so I can dunk.
That's way cool.
I know.